Hi, I'm Femi OK, and you're in the stream. Today, Indonesia's hazardous haze, the look at how forest fires are impacting the air in Southeast Asia. This is such a visual story, so much online as well. People sharing their experiences, their stories, their pictures. Omar Badar is in for Malika Bilal today. What do you have?
We're getting a lot of tweets from people who are directly impacted by the situation, by the haze. People like Kurniati over here, who says the situation is very dangerous. We breathe unhealthy air for months. Please help us to Melawan Asap. Now, what that hashtag stands for is Fight Against the Smoke. It's been used more than 50,000 times just this week. But for those of you who want to join the conversation, it's the hashtag you see at the bottom of the screen right here, AJ Stream. Be sure to tweet it, and we'll get to your tweets during the show.
Joining us right here in our studio, we have Nigel Sizer. He's the Global Director of the Forest Program for the World Resources Institute in Washington, D.C. Nigel, it's great to have you here.
Great to be here.
We're going to do some unpacking with you in just a moment. But first, before we get started, here are a few of the hashtags people around Southeast Asia are using to talk about the haze. Right now, forest fires in Indonesia are blanketing the region in hazardous smoke. The Southeast Asian haze has been happening annually since the late 1990s. The phenomenon is fueled by slash and burn farming, and fires are expected to worsen as the dry season progresses. In some areas, air pollution has hit record levels. Thousands are being treated for respiratory disorders, and hazy conditions are forcing flights and schools to shut down. Online, Indonesians are using social media to vent their frustrations and call for change in the air that they breathe. So what should be done to control and prevent the haze? With us to talk about this, we have on the phone in Jakarta, Indonesia, Abednego Taragan, Executive Director of the Indonesian Forum for the Environment. That's an NGO also known by the acronym WALI. An Kusumandaru, he is a resident of Surakarta, Indonesia, from where he joins us. And in Brisbane, Australia, Alu Dohong, he's an environmentalist and research associate with the Earth Innovation Institute. We also reached out to the Indonesian government to take part in this discussion, but they turned us down. Let me show you something here on my laptop. This is a tweet. It's a series of tweets, but the end of this tweet, and this comes from An, and he says here, I really hope the air in Pekanbaru will be clean soon, at least for this little one. An, who is this little one here? You made an internet famous. Who is that?
She's Kyla Andara. She's my daughter. She was born about 3 weeks ago.
All right, so new parents are always a little cautious about taking the baby out and exposing them to germs. But you've got a whole different issue that you've got to protect your little girl from. Tell us about it. What did you have to do at home to make sure she doesn't get hit by haze and smoke?
Okay, we try to minimize the smoke level indoors. We duct tape our windows, we duct tape our doors. I mean, the air conditioner is running 24/7, and there's also the air purifier that also running 24/7. And I mean, we're like a prisoner here. We minimize our activities outdoors.
Yeah. So if I literally went outside of your duct tape house, what would the air look like? Can you describe it to me?
We only can see 60 meters ahead of us.
I don't even know how far that is. Like from here to the end of this table, maybe? Wow.
Yeah, the next of 60 meters.
Yeah.
Just like we can even know the colors of what is it after the 60 meter. The airport is shut down.
Wow.
There's the flight. There's no flight running.
Goodness me.
In and out the city.
See, Nigel, you've lived in this region of the world. You understand what it's like. It's really hard for us if we don't live in a region that's affected by really serious haze. What does that feel like?
Well, according to the data that we're monitoring at the World Resources Institute day after day, and you can see it on globalforestwatchfires.org, if you went outside in these conditions, it would be like literally standing over a bonfire in your back garden. Take all the trash out of the house, all the garden waste, set fire to it, stand over it and breathe that in. Another image to consider is it's like smoking cigarettes non-stop, health-wise. So take your kids, go down to the store, buy a few packs of cigarettes and start forcing them to chain smoke. That's the air quality that literally tens of thousands of children across Indonesia have been having to live with day in, day out over the last week or more.
Wow. Alu, this is extraordinary. How you get to this situation? We talked about slash and burn, or I was talking about a slash and burn process, but what is actually happening down in the ground in Indonesia where the fires are creating this much haze? Can you walk us through it bit by bit?
All right. I mean, actually the major drivers of this haze in Indonesia actually come from peatland in particular. And the major drivers of peatland degradation actually at minimum 5 factors. First is removal of this kind of peat swamp forest vegetation, either through logging or illegal logging or other non-timber forest products collection. And second is about conversion of peatland into other activities, notably large agriculture and plantation or industrial plantation. And the third one is because of draining of this peatland. Because drain peatland, you just let all this water out from peatland, peat swamp ecosystem. And the fourth driver is, of course, fires. So after the removal of this vegetation and draining of peat, conversions of peat swamp forest to other agriculture or plantation, and fires start to happen because peat is drained and peat become dry up. And it's just like you just prepare, you know, like fuel for fire to happen. And the last one factor actually socio-economic, because property also the issue in the peat swamp ecosystem. Mostly, you know, communities living in peat swamp ecosystem, there's really high incidence of poverty, above 50%, for example, because what? Peatland is so infertile, so acidic. So people, if they want to grow something to eat, for example, traditional people, they set up fires just because they want to reduce this acidity of peat so they can grow something on it for subsistence life. But traditional people normally use it in the wise way. They control all these fires because, you know, for example, in Central Kalimantan, they practice this kind of slash and burn agriculture just like centuries, you know, but we never had this problem earlier.
See, An, when you were a little boy, do you remember the haze being that bad when you were a little boy growing up in Indonesia?
Well, we already have this problem since I can't remember. So every single year, we only have 2 seasons, the dry season and the wet season. And the haze a little less in the wet season because of the rain put down the fire. But in dry season, the fire is can be getting out of hand. So it's basically every single year from I can remember.
Femi, we're getting a lot of input here from online from people who are talking about just how this situation is impacting their lives. We have Liada here who tweeted in saying schools, the local school from kindergarten all the way up to senior high school was closed since almost 3 weeks ago. She goes on to say that our local airport had a lot of delays and canceled flights because of minimum visibility. And we have Chutney over here who says cannot jog out because cannot go outside, getting fat. Abednego, how long has this been normal? Is this what people are going through basically for more than a decade now of this actually happening?
Yeah, the haze problems in Indonesia already 17 years, and if you look, the driver of this, the haze problems is the expansion of the industrial plantations and oil palm plantations in Indonesia, and this is a long history issue in Indonesia, and since 1997, 1998, and this year one of the biggest problems in Indonesia. And if we look the haze problems, also this is like iceberg of the problem of the forest and land governance in Indonesia. We have significant problems related to the land and forest governance in Indonesia, because this is also related to how is the Indonesian government to manage the timber industrial plantations and oil palm plantation in Indonesia. And most of the haze come from the peatland, I agree on it. And if you look in Sumatra, that's in the east coast of the Sumatra, in Riau, Jambi, South Sumatra, and also in the peatland in West Kalimantan and Central Kalimantan.
See, Nigel, it seems to me, I mean, you just have to look at the pictures to know that how do you even live somewhere like this? How is it even acceptable that year after year after year that this continues to happen?
Well, it's not livable. I mean, we've actually seen thousands of people, I think, move from some of these affected areas, get in their cars, their friends' cars, buses, on planes, and fly to other parts of Indonesia, you know, many, many hours away. People with children, especially elderly people, people with asthma, or any kind of respiratory problems or conditions. Their eyes are stinging, they can't breathe properly, and it's been going on day after day after day. And if you look at our data, we've got some great charts on WRI.org, you can see that this has happened year after year. Right now it's particularly bad, but it was also very bad last year. It was very bad this year in February, and it goes back to the 1990s. And as our Indonesian friends were saying, and I absolutely agree with them, you can chart this back to when large plantation companies started moving into these areas. And what happened was they caused a lot of conflict with the people who were living there. So a lot of these fires are kind of taking place in no man's land. They're in areas that the companies sort of own and are supposed to manage, but they haven't developed because they're in conflict with communities in these areas. The communities are setting fires partly to get their own back at the companies, as well as to clear land for small-scale farming and so on. And it's just out of control. And the other thing that's going on right now is there's an El Nino. So it's unusually dry. This was predicted. We've known that this was coming for months, and it's quite striking that more wasn't done to prevent this earlier. It's good now to see, just in the last couple of days, the Indonesian government taking some very significant steps. Yesterday they arrested a dozen or more executives of the plantation companies and a number of other people, and are promising that it's going to be different from last time. They're promising that they're going to seriously hold these people to account. Time will tell. Yeah,
see, Nigel, I'm actually looking right here on my laptop for a Time headline. Indonesia arrests executives accused of being behind the region's notorious haze. And does that give you hope? Are you like, finally, somebody's arrested? Does that make any difference to you?
Hope, well, hope is a strong word, because from what I heard, over the years, the government do some like water bombing from planes, water bombing from helicopters, and the army and the firefighters working together to put down the fire. And they say they are searching to find who is behind all this, and they're gonna lock it behind bars. But is it effective? Well, let's just say it's been years and the fire is still out there. I don't know.
Yeah, Nigel.
Aan is absolutely right. We've been tracking this for years, and we work closely with the government on these issues as well. They've said these things before. What's a little different is seeing a whole bunch of executives actually being arrested. And some very, very strong statements from the top of government in the last couple of days saying it's going to be different. But Anne's absolutely right. We'll have to wait and see, and we have to monitor this and watch it closely. And if the government doesn't follow through with prosecutions based on good evidence and due process and so on, of course, if they don't follow through, then the Indonesian people and others really do have to demand that there is a response to this.
Omar.
So we have some people who are talking about, we asked how they're coping with this just in their daily lives. And we have Izzadin here who says trying to cope using face masks, staying indoors and remaining hydrated, eating more vegetables and so on. And then we have Palestine over here who says, in perfect honesty, we cope by complaining from sunrise to sunset, and then wearing masks and staying hydrated is all we can do. Alu, is there any advice that you can give to people, maybe just on their day-to-day basis, about how to try to minimize the effects of the haze?
Yeah, of course, the only one they can do is just lock themselves in the room. That's the best way to do it in the current situation. But yeah, because we have to understand, actually, we just see smoke. Actually, this is not kind of smoke. This is particular matters that come out from the combustion of this peatland. So that's really dangerous, I think, from the health perspective. So now is, if we can keep this kind of situation, happen for many years to come, for example, this can be dangerous for the young generation, for elderly people, in terms of their health, for example.
See, Alu, there have been people who've died from respiratory illnesses directly connected to the thick haze that's around Indonesia right now. It's a deadly issue. Mega fires in 1997, 1998, more than 30,000 people die related with this haze problem, and also, also 50,000 people has acute respiratory diseases or infection, and bronchitis, and so on. Guess I want to show our audience something, and that's a little report from a program called Earth Report, which shows you how difficult it is to put out these peatland fires. Have a look at this video. It's kind of remarkable.
The ground is treacherous. On peatland, underground fires penetrate as much as 60 centimetres beneath the surface. On healthy, moist peatland, fire would only burn the top few centimetres. But dried out, the peat smoulders for months on end, sometimes reigniting surface fires.
This look like no fire, but if we blow like this,
That's kind of stunning. I bet, Nego, how do you fight the haze? How is the haze being fought right now?
Yeah, the situation is in Central Kalimantan. I just got report from our regional office. Central Kalimantan also is going worse. And yeah, related to the haze problems, one of the big problems in Indonesia is the government's always taking the actions through the emergency response.
Yeah.
But from our point of view, there is a structural problems behind of these haze problems. One of the issues related to the massive release the license, the permit for the oil palm plantations and industrial plantations, and this is also related to the corruption practice, because during the elections, the local governments released the huge numbers of the oil palm plantations permit and timber plantations permit. And what is the consequences of this? Because too many permits, and there is many company also, they ask for permit only for the, we call land banking, for the stock of the land, without any activities of in that area, and that area is nobody control on it. And like explained from the WRI, that is become open area, open access, and also as an area of the conflict, and that is starting activities by the other parties. Like
so it's very challenging. I mean, even if you could put the peatland fires out, it's hard, as we saw in that video. I want to show you something here. This is tweeted out by Greenpeace. Stop the haze. I'm just going to show you here. Peatlands are supposed to look like this. not like this. How do we get the peatlands to look green and healthy again? Is it too late, Nigel? Are we doing farming on such a big scale that those days are gone for Indonesia?
No, absolutely not. And we've been working with the government precisely to look at that question. Indonesia could greatly expand palm oil production, pulp and paper production, without clearing another hectare of forest. There's a lot of land that's already been cleared.
Right.
They don't need to go anywhere near peatland, especially, which is particularly sensitive, and half of the fires we're seeing right now are on that peatland. They don't need to go anywhere near that. There's lots of land that's been cleared, that's being poorly used or is degraded and could be brought into production. So the question is, why isn't this happening?
Yeah.
What's stopping this? The industry know that, the researchers know that, our friends who are on the line here, they're very familiar with this. And these are the questions that we keep asking. I think the government...
And what was the answer that you got?
Well, the government, the new administration came in with a big fanfare.
Yeah.
Jokowi came in with a lot of noise that, you know, we're going to see a big effort against corruption. We're going to see reforms across government. He had a track record to doing that at the local scale.
Yeah.
And I think we're waiting to see him follow through on that at the national level.
Yeah.
He needs to prioritize these issues. He's been prioritizing other issues, large-scale infrastructure development, what he calls food sovereignty and so on. And I think this crisis, if anything good comes out of it, then it's a wake-up call. Yeah. It's a wake-up call. You've really got to recognize that millions of people across this country depend upon these resources, that they've been badly managed going back decades, and there's now a huge price being paid for that. But the areas can be restored, production can be rationalized, law enforcement can be enhanced. A lot of this activity is illegal, and everyone knows that that's going on a huge scale. So it's in the hands of government to address this problem. I put them front and center as the agents that need to address this. And of course, we need to see a real strong helping hand from the industry and from the markets and from all of us. We're actually, all of us, are all buying the products that are coming out of these plantations.
Can I add something?
Palm oil is found in literally thousands of products in the supermarket.
Sure.
And so we need to send a message that we've had enough of this as well.
Sure. Olu, what did you want to add?
All right. I mean, to me, it's the big priorities. I agree with Abednego Taragan. So reactive response is not really good, but we have to do like preventive and corrective action. I mean, the strategy to me is, first, we have to conserve remaining peatland. That's the most important. We not.
And Olu, may I show our audience some pictures that you sent us earlier, because we're almost out of time here, but I really want to share these pictures you sent with us. So here we have peatland that's in deforestation and in a really sad, terrible state. And then I'm going to scoot over here, looking very green and lush. How was that possible? How did that happen?
Yeah, I said the second strategy is to do this kind of restoration of degraded peat. Yeah. We can do there is a technology there through rewetting to close all these open canals, because open canals on the peatland, they just simply drain all this water from peatland, and it's make a water table, you know, lower, so that's fire easy to happen. So in order to address this issue, we have to stop it, to block this canal in order to maintain the water level, to rise the water table, so that fire is not easy to happen.
Do you know, it's so obvious when you say it like that, putting water back into the peatlands. So obvious. Okay, Omar, before we go to the post-show, what do you have?
I'll leave you with this thought from Marwan, who says children are experiencing acute laryngitis and some have died. The government should provide adequate funding to fight fires and catch the companies that deliberately burn forests.
So we have Nigel and Anne and Olu and Abednego, and we have a post-show, so we're taking them all there. Stream.aljazeera.com. We will be talking about the Indonesia haze issue and why aren't there more solutions for the problem that's been going on for decades. I'll see you online. Thanks for watching, everybody. Take care. Hello again, this is the Streams Online Post Show. We're talking about fires in Indonesia that are causing air pollution in the region. Let's get right back to that conversation. Lou, this must be very frustrating for you to know that there is an answer to this issue and then every season to have hazy weather conditions that are actually deadly too. What keeps you going and keeps pushing and pushing and pushing to say, I'm not going to let you off the hook? Companies, farmers, governments, we have to fix this.
All right, I think, we're not gonna find a scapegoat of this problem because we have to address this problem. All stakeholders need to be involved to address this problem.
Yeah.
I think government already done their job, but this job is still not enough to address the problem.
Yeah.
Companies also have to do their own job also, and communities and other stakeholders. So we have to address this problem integratively together so that the problem can be solved completely. As I said earlier,
yeah.
Restoration is the major strategic effort that we can do. That's possible to do that. We focus on this kind of deep pit that already drained, for example. I just take example like 1 million hectare projects.
Yeah. I want to, Lou, as you're speaking, I'm going to show you this picture again, which is the canals and re-wetting the peatlands, which looks amazing. But if you're doing that and then there are still big companies clearing and clearing land, and then so you're in one part of Indonesia restoring, and another part of Indonesia there's major big farming happening. What's the point?
Yeah, that's why we have to do a right, special plan policy, for example. Government to do this kind of a mapping of peatland in detail. So, for example, deep pit, we're not allowed to do it for any cultivation or any conversion to other land uses. But we have to save it, to protect it. And deep peatland that already been drainage, for example, need to be restored to do a re-wetting program.
Are you fighting farmers on this? Lou, do the farmers hate you? Like, this is their livelihood they're talking about.
No, we have to be careful about this. I'm not going to blame farmers, as I said
I didn't say blame. I just said, do the farmers not like you? Did you hear me say the B word? I did not. But do they hate you?
Yeah. I think no. Because we did this kind of re-wetting program earlier, working with farmers, because we adopt this technology actually from traditional technology.
Right.
So we just try to expand it to introduce it for restoration measure. To me, local farmers sometimes they're really wise.
Yeah.
They in Central Kalimantan they just use really peaty soil. Shallow peat. Not deep pit, because they understand.
Lou, we've got a little dodgy audio for you for a moment, so I'm just going to skip over to Omar, then we'll come back to you in just a moment. So, what's the community saying? What do you have?
Some people who are weighing in on how to get the government actually be more vigorous in taking action on this, and we have Captain Kahan over here who says multiple factors, but to be quite honest, if people want to see true commitment, there should be sustained public pressure, which actually brings to this point. Abednego, do you have a sense on whether people generally, whether there's a vibrant movement to try to pressure the government to actually take any harder steps at this point, or whether people have more or less are sort of deflated from this having gone on for so long?
Yeah, the public pressure now is increasing. Like our organizations now organize the people's voice in 5 provinces, and also we organize the class action of the victim of the haze. Yeah. Because this is important to remind the governments there is a serious impact for the people and for the Indonesian environment. And related to the haze problems, since a long time that WALHI, as the environmental organizations, we are focusing on how we look the land and forest governance in Indonesia. And the key point is, the first is very important for the government to review the permit, the licensing for the oil palm plantation and also for the industrial plantations, because like I said before, it's very significant is the issue of license, of permit behind of this. And the second is the consistent of the law enforcement, because we also, Indonesia also already long time. We are very a lot of issue behind of the law enforcement, corruptions behind of it, and most of the people bring to the jail is the small scale farmers. So this is interesting. How is the Indonesian government we in the good way related to the law enforcement. The third is we are also push the government. It's very important to restore and protect the peatland, because without because if you look the source of the haze, most of the peatland. And for your information now, in Merauke, in South Papua, it's a huge project now. We call the Merauke Integrated Food and Energy Estate. It's plantations, rice in the peatland, and also there is also fires in there right now. So there is very strong indications. There is Indonesia cannot say that we can use in the large scale and massive in the peatland. We are opposed that that kind of thing.
All right, let me show you something here. Very kindly, apaja.com allowed us to use this video. Have a look here. This is real people power. They used a drone to show how bad the air quality was, and you can also see the signs that people are holding up. Let me talk you through some of them. We have here, these are harmful fumes. This is real, and so are we. Welcome to Riau. Every year we feel like this, always the same. You see the point they're making, Nigel. This to me is totally unacceptable. Year after year after year after year, it's disgusting. Why?
Well, I mean, I think just to go back to something Omar was asking earlier, and we're very into social media on the show here. So social media has actually played a very big part in getting top-level officials to pay attention to this. So the hashtag Melawan Asap campaign, Stop the Haze, literally, you know, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of tweets. We've actually got a map of the tweets, a heat map of the tweets on our website at fires.globalforestwatch.org, and you can see it lighting up. Indonesians love social media. It goes right up to the president. He's on it as well. And people tweeting and caring about this and saying enough is enough, and this is what we need to see, and this is how much we're suffering, has clearly had a very big impact. And so that needs to continue if something isn't done about this. We shouldn't we need to take, I mean, Indonesia is a very, very vibrant democracy. There are some real positives about this country, and people can freely express their opinions, unlike some of the other countries in the region. And those voices do get heard. So we're seeing here an upswelling of public concern, public opinion. We're seeing the government starting to respond. And I'm optimistic that going into next year we will see some action on the ground to prevent fires as we head into the dry season next year. But it's going to take a very, very concerted effort and a bit of resetting of priorities by the government for that to really happen on the scale that's needed.
I want to show you something here. This is on my laptop, and this is one of the affiliates of Nigel's organisation. This is Global Forest Watch Fires, and we just looked up from 24 hours ago where all the hotspots were, and this gives you a sense of the hotspots around Indonesia. Look how close Indonesia is to Singapore, and I'm just wondering, An, for your neighbours, your neighbouring countries, do they hate Indonesians? Are they kind of furious with you for ruining their air? No, we don't hear him. I see his lips moving and I don't hear him. And I'm sorry, we've lost you. We've lost the audio, but you look amazing. All right, so, Omar, wrap us up. What do we have?
Right on the regional point, we have this headline: Indonesia turns down Singapore's offer to help extinguish forest fires. And we have somebody who commented on that, Franklin over here, who says the refusal to accept help from Singapore government is totally unacceptable. Transboundary pollution needs cooperation.
I have to say thank you to our guests. We only just scratched the surface of this major issue, but they really helped us kind of unpack it. So Nigel and An and Alu and Abednego, thank you so much. An, can I hear you? Say hello.
Yeah.
All right, great. All right, great. All right, this is perfect. This is perfect. Have a look here on my laptop. This is your little girl. How is she today? Is she awake?
Oh, well, she's fine now.
Yeah.
She's fine now.
Yeah, she's good.
She's healthy and at home.
Yeah. So when she gets to be 10, how do you hope the dry season will be for her when she gets to be 10 years old?
Well, I hope we already fed up with this problem. So we kind of really miss going out of fresh air without oxygen tank in our bags. So I hope in the next 10 years, the air is just clear. It's a simple hope.
Yeah, it's a really simple hope. I hope it's less than 10 years. That's outrageous. All right, so thank you again to our guests for really helping us understand this story a whole lot better. And thank you for watching today's episode of The Stream. We'll see you online. Take care.